am at Angeles National Forest and I'm at the Icehouse Canyon parking lot, and I just got the last parking space. 6:15. I thought I was being paranoid. I guess it's maybe the holiday weekend because everybody keeps saying come before 7 o'clock for parking, but I guess on the holiday weekend it's come before 6 o'clock. I'm just gonna get things set up, use the ladies' room, double check the map, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start. This is where you fill out your permit. Alright, so there is a water source, looks like for a bit. So the trail follows this river. So we'll see what's the highest point where you can still pump water. I didn't bring the water pump today because it was a shorter hike, but good to know this is here. And then kind of along the trail, you see relics of old cabins, like old fireplaces. Here it looks like most of the cabin was made with stone, but falling boulders and falling trees kind of destroyed it. If it was a little bit higher up, this might be a cool place to stop for lunch, but yeah, it's just a cool site to check out. So you can really spend a lot of time at the beginning of the trail just checking out what else is here. But I haven't really I'm not even a mile into the hike yet, so I don't want to make too many stops and spend too much time dilly-dallying. So maybe I'll check these out on the way down after I've done the hard parts. Oh, and then you do have cabins that aren't destroyed. These are private property, so don't wander in there and check those out because people own those. But I'm guessing well, here we go to the tricky parts again, where it's not even, so you really have to watch where you put your foot. All right, so today I am doing the Cucamonga Peak via Icehouse Canyon Trail. It's 11.6 miles, ranging between 11.6 miles and 12 miles, depending on kind of the variance. Starts at 5,000 feet elevation, give or take. Pretty confident I can do it. It wasn't, hang on one second, there's kind of a tricky water spot. I'm gonna get over this before I keep talking. So this was the trail water spot that was tricky and I wanted to cross before I kept talking. And now back to, oh, there's another water crossing. Okay, well, you know, I guess you can technically pump from these spots too. So as I was saying, pretty confident I can do this hike. It's not as much climbing, close to it though. I looked back at my hike 2 weeks ago of Mount San Jacinto. Not only was that longer, it was a little bit more elevation. So today it's going to be, I think, around 4,000 feet again, but shorter climb because the way up is less than 6 miles. Really hoping I can do it this time because it looks like the view is pretty awesome up there. Also want to recon because apparently you can backpack up there if you get a permit to stay up there. Looks like I have a little bit more research to figure that part out. But right, where is this trail going? Alright, I'm gonna check the Gaia GPS because this time I actually don't have a paper map. But I have Gaia GPS, so I'm gonna reference that real quick right now. Alright, I'm 2.41 miles in. Feeling stronger than 2 weeks ago in San Jacinto, probably because I started at a lower elevation. Also, I had half the drive to get here than I did when I drove to Idlewild. Also, it's an easier drive. One is shorter, two, the roads aren't as dicey. So I think I started off with a lot more energy in the tank. I'm just trying to take it easy. I looked at the map and there is like a dozen switchbacks before you get to the peak, like very close to the peak, so I'm trying to save a little bit in the tank for that. But I am trying out my new Trail Runners for this hike. A lot of people have been saying you can just wear trail runners instead of hiking boots. It was a little harder when there were bits of rocks because I had to engage my ankle more not to throw out my ankle. Other than that, it's feeling pretty good. It's not as heavy. I think everybody said the only downside really are hiking boots last longer than trail runners because trail runners start falling apart after a couple hundred miles. Overall feeling pretty good. I was gonna bring 4 liters of water, but I forgot one of my bottles, so I only have 3 liters. Really, the 4th liter in the bottle is supposed to make it easier to cook, so now I gotta like hold my bag up and use gravity to pour the water out because I don't want to take the whole bladder out of my backpack. So that's a little bit more inconvenient, but I think 3 liters is probably enough. The last water source, probably 1.6, 1.7 miles. That was the last time really you had access to pump. And now we're hiking up, so I'm not expecting to see any water sources anymore, which is why I did not bring my water filter. All right, so I am at Icehouse Saddle. And so there's this informational sign about where I am right now. It's like a junction for 5 different trails. I think this is the part where the stuff gets real with the switchbacks of doom. Alright, so this is just past the Icehouse Saddle. It's the calm before the storm of all the switchbacks. And I got to a really cool viewpoint. Ooh. Alright, so that's kind of where I came from over there. It's kind of flat. And then we're at a point where I have to turn back this way, but here's the view. And then I gotta go in there, and I think this is kind of the downhill slash flat parts before the climb and the switchbacks. Feeling pretty good so far. It's like almost 10 o'clock now. I stopped for a snack, and then I also stopped to chat with somebody who was backpacking to a different peak. So that was some good tips and news on how to backpack around these areas. There's kind of a lot of different information you need to know about which places need permits from where, because all the different peaks here may have different agencies that control them. So I need to do a bit more research before I actually do a backpacking trip. But today, just a day hike, so it was just the permit I filled out at the trailhead this morning. Alright, so we've gotten to this part that's more exposed now. So I've put my sunglasses and my hat on. There's no shade at all. And I think that's probably gonna be the norm until we actually get up to the top. Right, so this looks like it's the old mine shaft off the trail, which I'm not getting in at all. Like, don't kid you me, there's no way I'm crawling in there. Yeah, you can get on your hands and knees and maybe your belly and just crawl in there. There's videos online if you want to see that, but not in this video. But that is, in case you want to check it out, it's 4-point-something miles into 4-point-something miles into this particular hike, just a little bit a ways from the Icehouse Saddle. But yes, I'm not going in there, so let's continue on the trail. Alright, so I am 4.8 miles into the trail. Saw this tree, wanted to catch a break. The switchbacks are about to begin. I think I only have a little over a mile left. This is going to be the toughest mile of switchbacks. The trail itself was a little bit tricky getting up to here. There were parts where you had to climb up tree roots a little bit, so that's hard. Let me show you this view. Ooh. And then that's the switchbacks happening. Taking a break for now. Look at this view. Oh, those are clouds again. So yeah, psyching myself up for this climb. It's definitely taken a lot less time than Mount San Jacinto. I don't know if the climbing's a huge amount of difference, but even with the hard parts where I had to slow down a bit to scramble over rocks or tree roots, it feels like an easier hike so far. So I'm gonna take some water and then switchbacks. All right, I'm 5.67 miles in. This last mile is definitely the toughest. It's steep. I think I'm a little bit over halfway through the switchbacks and just need to take breaks more often, catch my breath more often. The beginning of the hike, not so bad, definitely easier. Actually, probably everything up to mile 5, 4.5, mile 5 was pretty manageable. And then here I find a shade, I find a thing that looks like a seat. I'm gonna sit down. So right now it is before noon. I'm about almost 5 hours into the hike. The plan is to get to the peak, have lunch up there, take a break before I go all the way back down, because it's, once again, not a nice stroll. There's a lot of really rocky parts, and it was kind of hard even going flat, because the path would be like 1.5 to 2 feet wide, and there's all these wobbly rocks and you're trying to keep your balance. I'm starting to regret a little bit not wearing my hiking boots and instead wearing the trainers. Yes, they're lighter, and that does make the hike a little bit easier. On the other hand, there's a lot less ankle support, and I'm just finding myself having to like catch myself on the ankles instead of having to being able to rely on the boots a little bit. Also probably because the terrain's a little bit more difficult even than San Jacinto. San Jacinto was a rough hike. It was steep towards the end. Here it's like the terrain's tricky. There's some parts where I had to climb up, and there's some parts I'm gonna probably have to like butt slide down. All right, I think this is probably good enough of a break. I'm getting a really good view of down there though, so hopefully the view is even better up top. Made it. This is Cucamonga Peak. A lot of good views. A lot of people posing. Yeah. This is one of the views from the top. You can see it's a little bit hazy today, so it's a little hard seeing the surrounding mountains. So now it's time to find some shade, and then I gotta cook lunch. But check out the view. It's a bit sandy up here. I wasn't expecting sand. People backpack up here. Do you just like pick a flat spot and backpack? Is that what's happening? I don't know. Alright, so I'm just sitting here waiting for my food to finish cooking. I brought some freeze-dried meals again. It's actually a pretty big area up here on Cucamonga Peak. I've only really looked at half of it maybe, but I just got kind of hungry, so I took the 1 or 2 pictures, and then I wanted to cook something and eat before I walked around. And I think how the first couple hours of the morning went really affects the rest of the hike. Because when I hiked Mount San Jacinto, the drive to Idlewild alone was 2 hours, and then I ran around for another nearly a whole hour looking for a bathroom. So I was already several exhausting hours into the day when I started the hike. The starting elevation was, a couple 100 feet difference, so I don't think that really was a huge cause as to why that other hike sucked and this one was a lot better. Here, this hike, it was less than an hour drive. I started a lot early. Well, I started at around the same time in the morning, but the drive was a lot shorter, so I was able to... Oh, also there was a bathroom right at the trailhead, so that was a lot more relaxing. Like, I finished the coffee that I brought with me, went to the bathroom, fill out the permit, and then just started my hike. So it was a lot less stressful than going to Idlewild, which was like, oh my god, the parking lot's almost full, let me go to the different location first, fill out the permit, and then come back. But then before that, go find a bathroom. So, oh, I think my food's done. So, more commentary after I finish eating. Alright, so another day hiking group left this spot, so I have moved my lunching here into this view. This is my view for lunch. Alright. So steps up my new favorite sign. Yay, I made it. I'm alive. Alright, so that's enough procrastination where I took a bunch of photos. Well, I took some videos that I'm going to grab some stills on because I didn't want to rush the 10-second countdown clock on the camera. Because, you know, gotta make memories, I guess. I'm on my way back down again. It took me maybe 5.5 hours to get up, so I'm kind of hoping to shave that down because I shouldn't have to pause for breaks as much. So, making my way down now. All right, it's 8.4 miles. I'm about 2 miles from the summit on the way down. Yay. So, on the way down, actually, there were 3 guys who asked if I had extra gels. I guess they did a last-minute plan change, and originally they were going to do a hike half the distance than this. One of them only had water, so he was cramping up really bad. And I felt kind of awful because I didn't bring any gels because I don't eat gels, and I didn't bring any sweets because I didn't want to overkill pack my backpack, so I didn't have extra cookies. I did offer him Tylenol. I don't know if that helps, but he declined. And then I told him I had one of those sun-kissed tuna packs that's like lemon flavored. I was gonna have it as a snack on the way down, and he originally declined that too, and I asked him, are you sure? It's not the most delicious thing ever, but it does have salt, so it should resolve the cramping. So I think next time I'm gonna pack some salt tablets in my first aid kit. Not for myself, because I think I know about what kind of food and fuel I need, but I felt very unprepared. Like I unpacked the whole backpack in case I had extra food in there that I didn't remember about. I offered him my last freeze-dried meal because I was pretty sure I wasn't going to cook it on trail. But those are not the most delicious things ever if you're eating them without rehydrating them and heating them. So he eventually did accept the sun-kissed tuna packet. So hopefully he's okay. He wasn't that far from the summit. He just finished switchbacks with this group. Also, one of his group members was like, he told me he was an Eagle Scout. So I'm like, okay, you can take care of your friend. Maybe next time just don't randomly switch trails and go twice the distance with no food and only one. I think they only each one had one bottle of water. So yeah, I told them there were people backpacking up there. Maybe some of them have extra supplies they can part with. So hopefully, I'm kind of hoping they catch me back on the way down, so I know they're okay. They look like if they were feeling all right, they could pass me easily. So best case scenario, I see them or at the parking lot or before I hit the parking lot, and all 3 of them are accounted for. So hoping you're okay, dude. All right, keep going. All right, I'm back at the split for the top of the Chapman Canyon Trail where it crosses the Icehouse Canyon Trail. So I'm 3 miles away from my car. I've officially run out of water. Again, originally I was going to bring 4 liters of water so that I can cook and drink with no issues. And I forgot that other liter bottle of water, which saved 2 pounds off my pack. On the other hand, I'm out of water and I have 3 miles to go. So I probably have another hour. There's going to be delicious, delicious looking water in about a little over a mile, but I do not have my Katahdin. Apparently it's called Katahdin. I do not have my Katahdin filter, so no water for me. I think I have a random bottle of water. No, wait, I think I have a random container of water in my console in my car, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. It is very dry. So now I know next time I come here, bring 4 liters of water. Maybe even 5 if it's especially hot. Especially if I want to cook. Alright, I'm just going to take it easy because I don't really want to get any thirsty. I don't think I'm in trouble, it's just I usually overgame on water, but not today. So that was my bad. Alright, keep going. This must have been a really nice cottage in this park, but as you can see, rockfall eventually destroyed it. That's too bad. I finished the last 3 miles without water. was really bad around the last mile. I was so thirsty, I just started running when I could run. So some of the places are a little bit rocky and it's hard to not twist your ankle if you run, but when it was flat, like, running was better than spending more time being thirsty. And then when I got back, I did have my Yeti tumbler. The water's really hitting the spot. I'm alive. I made it to the peak. I made some lunch. Undergamed on the water a little bit. Now I know 4 to 5 liters. It wasn't bad in the morning because most of it was shaded until you got to past Icehouse Canyon. Then you got to the spaces that had exposed sun. But even then there were spots where you could hide under tree cover a little bit. On the way back, after the switchback, it was just full on sun most of the time. Parts where it was shaded in the morning, it was sunny because the sun had passed some of the mountains, so it was just a lot harder. I could see the people going up suffering a lot more than I did in the morning. I'm glad I started this one early in the morning. I mean, it took me over 10 hours to do. I'm surprised the descent took so long. I did burn like 20 minutes trying to find the perfect spot to go to the bathroom because the switchbacks, there were no opportunities for bathroom. And then towards right before Icehouse Canyon Saddle, I was like, okay, I think I'd actually climb this hill because the whole time it was either uphill on one side and downhill on the other side. It was pretty severe grade. And I finally found a slot which had 2 fallen trees, which was like a V. So what I ended up doing was like using one of them as a handrail to get up. And then even then I'm like, wow, I could super see the trail. So I kind of just looked out for, okay, no people, I'm just gonna go for it, whatever. They're gonna see what they're gonna see. I'm just saying, like, I had to go. So very lucky I didn't actually flash anybody. I'm happy for that. But then as I was coming out, somebody asked me if I took a shortcut, and I was like, no, I went to the bathroom. All right, I'm digesting this water. I'm gonna either go into town, find something to eat / drink, or just go home because I'm actually not that far from civilization, and this morning it only took me like less than an hour to get here, so even with traffic it's not gonna be awful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drink some more water, and then I'm gonna head off. Oh, look at that graceful technique go. Using the butt slide technique, the world's safest technique to descent.